many of you have a favorite dessert recipe? That's what I thought. So do I. My husband does too. And I don't mean a sort of favorite, I mean his all-time favorite. Join me this morning while I show you how to make fancy schmancy French creme caramel. Creme caramel, also known as flan, is a sophisticated dessert eaten all around the world. It's a silky smooth custard baked in a caramel-coated mold in a water bath in the oven. It's a bit different than its rustic cousin creme brulee in that it's dependent on some very specific French techniques, including an exquisite presentation. Technique number 1, bain-marie. In French, it simply refers to a water bath, like a pot in a pot on the stovetop, meaning a double boiler, or a pot in a pot of water in the oven, like these ramekins placed in a baking pan and filled halfway up to the center with water. Technique number 2, the caramel. For some reason, this is the part of the recipe that tends to terrify people, and it couldn't be easier. Yes, hot boiling sugar can burn you, but there's no reason to be afraid of it. I've got a 1½ or 2 quart stock pot here, and I'm putting a 1½ cup of sugar in here. I'm going to add 1/4 cup of water, and I'm going to stir this together. And once I get the sugar completely coated in the sugar mixture completely coated with the water, I'm going to give this just a minute or 2 for the sugar to completely dissolve. My sugar is all dissolved. I'll tip the pot for the camera. It's kind of gloppy. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this over to the stovetop and show you how to cook it. Place the sugar mixture over medium-high heat and do not, under any circumstances, stir this simmering mixture. Everybody wants to do it, don't. It causes the sugar crystals to build up around the sides of the pan, and that's what causes caramel to burn. Continue to simmer rapidly until the mixture is amber in color, about 8 to 10 minutes, and continue to do nothing. Towards the end of the process, the simmering will slow down a bit and big bubbles will be forming on the surface. That's your cue to remove the caramel from the stovetop and pour it into the ramekins. My caramel sauce is a golden, amber, a beautiful color, and I'm just going to divide this between the bottom. Don't touch it. Yes, the sugar's hot, and yes, that's the part that's terrifying. It can burn you. Divide this mixture in the bottom of 6, these are 3/4 cup ramekins that have been placed in my bain-marie. A little bit at a time. A little more in each one till it's all gone. Everything's in. And now everybody wants to know what to do with the hot pot. Don't worry about it. It's just sugar. Run it through hot water. It's going to melt. It's going to be the easiest pot you ever had to clean. Now, excuse me while I go wash my pot. Technique number 3, making custard, which is essentially combining heated cream and sugar with raw eggs. I've got 3 cups of cream in the same pot that I used to cook the caramel in. I'm going to add 3/4 cup of sugar, and I've got 2 teaspoons of vanilla extract and 2 teaspoons of vanilla bean paste. And if you don't have vanilla bean paste, just scrape the seeds out of 2 whole vanilla bean pods. I'm going to give this a good, thorough stir. And I'm just going to take this over to the stovetop and put it over really low heat and let it come to not even a simmer or a boil. We just want our cream to be steaming. And I've got 6 whole eggs. Lots of eggs go into custard. And 3 whole egg yolks. If your eggs are at room temperature, they're going to be a lot easier to whisk because it softens up that white part, which is the albumin. And I'm going to give these a real thorough whisk. That looks fantastic. I'm going to go check on my cream, and when I come back, we're going to finish this custard. Technique number 4, tempering the eggs. My steaming hot cream mixture, if I pour it all in here, I'm going to get scrambled eggs real fast. So tempering the eggs is kind of like telling your kids to control their temper. We're going to slowly raise the temperature of the eggs by slowly whisking in the cream mixture. A little bit at a time at first. And then you just pick up your drizzle. When you're about halfway into it, the eggs can't scramble or curdle anymore. And we've got a silky smooth, perfectly mixed custard. I'm going to take my ramekins. I'm slowly going to pour this, fill these right to the very tippy top. Might have a little bit of extra custard left or not. Sometimes it works out perfectly. Sometimes there's a little bit left depending on the exact size of your ramekins and the size of your egg yolks and everything else. Oh, these look gorgeous. They're not even baked yet. It smells wonderful. Yeah, I guess I have about half a cup there. I'm going to pop this carefully so I don't spill anything in a 300-degree oven, a very low oven, for about 35 to 40 minutes. Creme Caramel became really famous in the latter part of the 20th century because of French restaurants. It became incredibly trendy in the beginning of the 1960s when Mrs. John Fitzgerald Kennedy hired a French chef to oversee the White House kitchen. Everybody who wanted to be like Jackie was off buying ramekins and saying fancy French words like bain-marie. For these and all of my recipes, just go to my website.